Today I'm going to be joined by International Artistic Director for Tony & Guy / Label M, Dexter Dapper. Now, what I love about bringing Dexter onto the show is his story of how hairdressing has given him the opportunity to be the best version that he can. And by doing that, it's given him a platform to really express who he is as a person. It wasn't a career choice that naturally came to him. And after a conversation in a pub, it was a moment that he asked himself, do guys like me do hairdressing? Curious? Well, it's going to be a great podcast. Let's cue the intro. This is How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry Podcast Show with Dom Lahane, episode number 218.
Welcome to How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry Podcast. The show that gives you the insights, inspirations, and information to take your hairdressing and barbering careers to the next level. And here's your host, Dom Lahane.
Hey, and welcome back to How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry Podcast, the UK and Ireland's #1 hair industry podcast that gives you the insights, inspirations, and information to take your hairdressing and barbering careers to the next level. Now, I'm really excited for this Monday, 11th of October. I'm going to be attending the UK and Ireland Weller Trend Vision finals from the Roundhouse in Camden. Now, last went to this in 2019. It is a mega night. But if you are not attending this, do not worry, because for the first time ever, Weller will be streaming elements of this final digitally. So if you would like to register and watch this, then all you need to do is to go to tvadigital.co.uk. It's going to be a cracker of a night, and I wish everybody that's in the finals that night the very best of luck. Also, we have a massive week coming up, don't we? Salon International is on our doorstep again. It is great to have that back. But also, I'm so excited to be bringing you our very first How to Cut It presents the Hair Show Unleashed live next Sunday, the 17th of October at the Lafayette in London's King's Cross, hosted by myself, Sophia Hilton, Georgia Bell, plus Justin Macklin, who's going to be warming you all up with his delightful personality and many special guests. So if you would like to attend this event, we now have very limited tickets available, but you can get them by going to LafayetteLondon.com. And there on the homepage, you'll see the Hair Show Unleashed. Get on there, check out the ticket options, which are best for you. If you do want to take us up on the team ticket offer where you get 4 tickets for the price of 3, then you just need this code, TEAM21. And do come and join us. As I say, we have competitions, we have challenges, fast-paced chat show, drag artists do an amazing finale dance, lip sync, plus a glitter ball after party. This really is bringing us all together for a night that is going to light up the room with colour. And today's guest is also one of the team challengers for the Hair Show Unleashed, and that is Dexter Dapper, one of the coolest guys in the industry. And I just love Dexter for his unique style and passion he has for the industry. But what I'm really impressed by with him is that by his own admission, he doesn't see himself as the traditional fit of a hairdresser. And as I said at the very start of the intro, guys like him don't do hairdressing. Wrong. They do. And I get this because I had that same thing myself. Guys like me just don't do hairdressing. We don't feel like we meet the sort of stereotype image. Well, Dexter today is going to be sharing his story and how he's got into the industry, but how it's given him a platform to go on and be the best version that he can be. It's a great story, and I truly believe that all of you who are excited by hairdressing careers, or maybe on the fringes of, is hairdressing for me? Listen to this podcast. Dexter's story is absolutely fantastic. So we are going to dive into it. Today's How to Cut It podcast with Dexter Dapper. How you doing, Dexter? Welcome along.
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. What an intro, bro. What an intro.
Well, look, Dexter, I think today is, certainly from our part, is to learn about you. And I think your journey into an industry, because, I'm going to put it out there. You sort of don't always maybe tick the very traditional kind of look of a male hairdresser, if you know what I mean. I kind of got that. And, you know, what that journey was. And I think sometimes there are a lot of people that listen to these podcasts that maybe were in a similar place, that maybe it wasn't an obvious choice. Yeah. But something just happened that kind of connected it into this world that you didn't know that existed. And, you know, what's led you on? I mean, because when you look, you have got not a bad little CV going on. International Artistic Director of one of the biggest hairdressing brands, names globally, and Label M.
Yeah.
Head of men's education. Weller men's grooming winner, 2019.
Yes. Yeah, I won that as well, yeah.
Did you ever expect any of this when you started out?
God's honest truth, no. But if a young Dex if I had gone back in time and said to a young Dex that this is what's going to happen in a few years' time, or 10 years' time, whatever it is, honest truth, I would have told him to jog on. I would never have seen this happening, envisioned it, you know, anything along those lines. But I don't know, just when it fits, the stars align, and a little, how would I say, a little bit of graft incorporated, it just seemed to work. And I'm very thankful for it all as well, very thankful.
So I want to get that journey, because I want to get to the journey that where you are. Here we are, 2021. And like you say, the stars have aligned and all that, and to do that. But first, I think it's important for our listeners to understand roles in the industry. And, you know, as we just said, your title of International Artistic Director, Tony and Guy / Label M. What does that mean?
So thankfully, Tony and Guy, I did my artistic director's presentation, and then they have basically entrusted me to deliver education not only here in the country but worldwide. Such an amazing company that I work for, and amazing what they do. So I could be expected to go anywhere from the likes of Russia, Italy, Spain, deliver education. What my forte is men's education. So we will hold courses in various locations, should I say, whether that's like a 3-day men's course, or whether I'm out there for an expected element of time to deliver education, whether it's on a one-on-one basis, or, you know, a small intimate class, or whether it's on a grand big stage in front of 5,000-6,000 people. But it's an ambassador for Label M as well, delivering the knowledge. Obviously, Label M, it's a hair care product, official hair care product and partner for Fashion Week. So not only is it a beautiful intel on a bespoke product, it's used backstage, and all of the big name models and all of the big name designers use them. So it's pretty cool. And that's just, how would I say, the cream on the top, you know, just scratching the surface.
What do you think it was that made you stand out to be an educator with such a leading brand? What do you think it is about you?
Yeah, wow. God, just got a little hot sweat come over me. I don't know how to answer that. You know what?
I get them all the time.
Yeah, do you know what? Do you know what? We were laughing about this because I think it will come in doses how I actually speak. It's a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say Cockney, East End, or whatever. I think I have a good telephone voice. I put it out there. So, you know, I think being a chameleon, just being able to adapt, I think, in some aspects. I always say, you know, you want to be good at everything and then excellent in one thing or two things, whatever your field is. It you want your field to be, or what someone expects your field to be, you know, either or. I think the beautiful thing where I'm at with Tony and Guy, we're trained in all aspects of hair. So if push comes to shove, I can do session editorial braiding work. I can do wig work. I can do something a little bit more classic along with the, you know, the bespoke bobs. I can do something a little bit more creative. I can do ladies' hair, you know, all of that. But my love and my passion is men's hair. And that's what the brand itself has really encouraged me to do and be a part of. And it's transcended and evolved from there. So I don't know. I'm putting myself outside of my box. If you were to ask other people, I don't know. Maybe it's my relaxed nature, carefree attitude, Maybe a little bit of the Jack the Lad personality, but I think if you roll it all into one, there's a little bit something there. But I don't know. I think there's something to ask everyone else.
I think probably getting to know you in a small period of time that I'm getting to know you, I actually think you have likability, and we tend to love learning from people that you like and trust and feel comfortable around.
Yeah. Oh, cheers, mate.
Yeah, well, it's massively. So you work on, like, say, session shows, I know, and Tony and Guy, you travel. And are you still behind the chair as well, away from the, the education side?
Yeah, I am. I've actually just come full circle. So I think with the whole pandemic and everything, it put a lot of stuff into perspective. So the first salon that hired me when a lot of people, I was a little bit older in terms of starting out in hairdressing, it was Tony and Guy Bluewater. They were the ones that hired me. I didn't have the actual government period of time to do my, training. But they said, come on board. If you do it in X amount of time, we'll take you on. So I've actually just gone back to working in the salon there, Bluewater Shopping Centre. Come down and see us. We have a lot of fun. Yeah, so it's quite funny working there because there's girls on the shop floor that I trained with. There's girls that have now done their qualifications that are hired. There's people that don't know me. They've only seen me on TV and in magazines and stuff like that. So it's a weird dynamics, but it all works. So yeah, I'm behind the chair. I'm working in there. The clientele's really fun. It's gents. It's big bouncy blow dries because we're just over the bridge from Essex. So if you see me, I've had a shoulder session the night before and I can't even lift my arms up to blow dry. Yeah, we're having a mess.
I know the Bluewater being a big West Ham fan, so towards the Essex side.
Yeah.
I know it well, but we won't go into football because I know you do like your football as well, and I believe you may be a Gooner, but that will hold back.
I am indeed a Gooner.
Yeah, exactly. So you sort of found yourself like in men's hair. How are you finding the salon life though? Because when you're out and you're doing session world and you're doing education, a lot of people, that's their dream stuff. People are aspire to be educators. You probably see it more than ever now. Does it feel like, I don't know, do I love this as much as the other side of the industry?
Do you know what? I'm going to say, how long have I been doing it? About 14 years or so. So when I started, the dynamics of being in a salon for me have changed dramatically. I remember when I first started, you'd have books with cutouts of male images that have all been put together, that, and women's images, and you'd flip through and say like that, and it'd obviously have your company's collections, all of that things. Now everyone's so much more savvy. They've always got their blowers in their hands and they can just go and Google, type in XYZ, and anything comes up. They're more in tune as to what cuts are what, names of the cuts, products, even if someone's wearing a wig and stuff. So for me, I think the expectations for what I'm offering and what I need to deliver was tenfold. It's increased. But I don't know, in the same breath, because everyone knows what they want and there's less of that dilly-dallying and I can really ascertain what they want and really nail it, I found it being a lot more enjoyable because I can really execute what they want. There's more of an understanding. And to be honest, if I can't achieve it, I can openly say, I don't think this is going to suit you, but here's what we can do. I think that there's a lot more to it. And for me, going back into the salon after, being away and doing shows and shoots and fashion weeks and stuff like that, I actually found it, I don't want to use the word difficult, but it took me a while to adjust because I was used to spending a little bit more time, being a little bit more meticulous where I could do. But now I'm doing a consultation, a shampoo, maybe a little bit of a conditioning treatment, doing the haircut, doing the blow dry, all in 40 minutes. And if they've been stuck on the A2 or they're late coming in, it's now 30 minutes. And they want all of that. So I'm thinking, I'm running around like a headless chicken. Like, where's my mousse? Where's my hairspray? All of that. But, it's coming to play. So for anyone out there, I say you need a balance of both because that keeps you on your toes, that keeps you grounded, and that keeps you knowing what is, where it's diluted into into the, everyday sector and stuff like that. So I think a happy medium is always key, and you're winning at life.
Yeah, and I guess the education side has maybe slowed up a little bit because of the way the world, in terms of your traveling, because I know you travelled Russia and around the globe doing your education. Yeah. But I guess I know, as you know, this is going out a week, well, the weekend coming is Salon International Weekend. And are you guys, Tony and Guy, going to be doing some educational work at that weekend?
Yeah, we've got something really, really big planned. I won't give too much away.
Oh, man, come on.
I want everyone to buy their tickets for the seminar and stuff. But obviously, we know how the world's been. We know what's been going on. So, one, it's really great to be able to put on small stage shows, big stage shows, seminars, little small tidbits. It's always good to be out there. And that's what we've been able to do. So, I think there's still a couple of tickets left out. So try and buy tickets for the seminar. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. And we have some new launches that we're going to be announcing. So yeah, it's going to be wonderful. So
yeah, exciting. And I guess it's when you're doing that salon work time and you've got this stuff going on, that gives a lovely little balance, I guess, to your career, doesn't it?
Exactly. And it gives you something to look forward to, whether it's looking forward to that big show, that small show, coming into the salon, doing a full column. I think the dynamics are key to doing what you need to do and want to do.
No, brilliant. Come on then. So we're going to get to the journey, Dexter, because I think that's lovely. We've kind of got there and, where you are right now, which is great. You're sort of salon education, you do your session work big designers. But there was something that I picked up and I saw, it was a great interview actually you done with Kevin Lutchman, who was a former guest of the show. And there was a part of it where you talked about your entry into the industry, and it's always a very over-asked question I find sometimes, where people say, tell us, how did you get into hairdressing? But I think the thing that stood out, it was a conversation that you had in a pub with your mate's girlfriend, and you were exploring about, I like fashion and music, and she suggested that, hairdressing could be something that could be good. But it was almost that you said it was, but it's guys like me that we don't do hairdressing.
100%.
What was it that you meant by that?
Do you know what I meant by that? Like, I don't know. It's my female friends, like, they hate this term, but that element of laddishness, that little bit of banter, every cheeky chappy, everything's going to be hunky dory. I remember I was sat in a boozer and I said, when she said, you should go and work for Tony and Guy, like, they do fashion, they do hair. And she was looking at me. I had this god-awful red offset Mohican where it had all been dyed and bleached.
Sounds a bit Pogba. Shocking.
Yeah, exactly like that. I was Pogba before Pogba was Pogba. And I said, guys like us don't do it because, I'm a straight cis man, as we know. And I was very much of the mindset where, it was very eccentric males, whether you were straight, whether you were homosexual. I generally thought I had nothing about me to get into that wonderful world of hairdressing and fashion. I think my mindset was very, like horses had sort of blinkers on. It was very tunnel vision. Like I knew nothing about it. She was like, no, there's so much. There are guys like you. This industry is accommodating and open to anyone and everyone. And boy, nearly 15 years later, she was very, 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 very correct on that. So I remember I said, okay, I'm going to hand in my CV to Tony and Guy, but I'm also going to hand in my CV to God knows how many other hairdressers. I think it must have been near on about 7, 8 hairdressers. Not one of them responded to me, bar Blue Water. So again, the stars aligned. It was meant to be. Because I thought it was just for women. It was just for theatrical guys. And even though as a kid growing up, I was very much in tune to it. Like I grew up in a household where it was Motown orientated. It was, I remember watching early films with Mama Ru Paulin and stuff, even before people knew who Mama Ru was, things like that. So I was always in tune to it, grew up with a lot of females, but, the emphasis was, and the narrative was, that isn't for guys like us. But thankfully, she coached me in the right direction, and here we are now.
Did it take a big step then for you, Dexter? Because again, I think I picked up on that because, you know, myself as a male hairdresser, the things that you said there, even though my mum was a hairdresser, you know, it was always around me. I kind of felt that myself, and it wasn't because of anything homophobic, because we're, you know, an inclusive. It made, you know, no offense by anybody in that, but just around a group of friends that were maybe had a small attitude to, you know, they stereotype all of you. You know, that for a lot of you lads, I've heard this said before, that hairdressing can seem quite a feminine industry. So when you're a boy, that could be a little bit, you're like, your mates, oh, what are you doing hairdressing for? You know, yeah. Did you have to deal with that as well within your circles? And how did you find that to cope with?
Well, do you know what? Growing up, I think with the lads and I was always, how do we say it, a little bit different. We still had that laddie mentality, but I'd always be a little bit more in tune with, you know, making sure that those trousers were pressed, you know, the shoes had to match a belt. You know, I grew up with a bunch of lads. They'll kill me for saying this when I end up hearing it. You know, we go down to the local club, and it was, you know, what I would call your dad's best white shirt. You know, jeans that had that little bit of flares, and they'd have like some god-awful winkle pickers. Now, the boys in the clique, I'll give them a round of applause. They're bang on it. But it went one of two ways. It was like, especially people that I'd call acquaintances that I wasn't friends with. They found out I was a hairdresser or getting into that industry. They were like, "Oh, what, are you gay now?" And I'd be like, "No, that's such a ignorant and arrogant thing to say." Or it went in the opposite direction where they were like, "Oh, sweet. So you're straight, plethora of women, you're going to clean up." And I'm like, "No, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to, you know, learn my craft, be the best version of myself that I can be." Whether it was that side or the other side, no one understood. It was just very, or the third aspect was, or, "Oh, come on, Dex, you're smarter than that. Hairdressers are dumb." And that wound me up.
Don't it wind you up when you hear this said, this sort of like people? Yeah, even to this day, you still, you know, you go around a circle of people and, you know, somebody, maybe a director here or some, you know, whatever profession they do. And then you get to you as a bloke, and I don't know if you've been there, Dexter, and, you know, yeah, I'm a hairdresser. And there's sort of stereotype image. As much as we in the industry know about the industry, there's still such a bad perception of hairdressers.
Some real stigmas knocking about.
Yeah,
there's some real stigmas, and I just don't understand it. For me, I always tell to my students, like, you know, hide yourself to that standard and that values that you want, because I think we just always, I think people outside, they devalue ourselves. Like, I'll give an example. Like, I know the mathematics behind colour is, but some of the colourists I know, they know their maths in the inside out, because if you get it wrong, if you cock it up, that hair's falling out, that's burning their scalp. You know, the angles and the geometry to get, you know, a nice classic bob. One thing I always say to people when, you know, this emphasis of home hairdressing or doing hairdressing out of hours, I never understood it. I don't do home hairdressing because, you know, we spoke about, I like my time to be my time and do other stuff. But when people go and cut hair outside of work, they always charge a less amount. They charge half price. And I've never understood it. I think if I'm sitting indoors at my gaff and my water goes and I call a plumber out to come and fix my pipes, he's charging me time and a half. And I've never understood that from a hairdressing perspective. You're going round, if you're doing someone's hair, you're spending time to drive there, you're having to take your tools and equipment and everything else like that. You should hold yourself to a higher standard. You should say, okay, I'm charging you a time and a half. If someone really wants that service and understands that service, they're going to pay that. And if they want to do these home dye kits or whatever it is, it's not going to end up at the quality that you're offering. I think we as hairdressers in this new age of hairdressers, 21st century, we should know the power we have and we should understand it to its full value.
I think that the thing is, and I think it's a great point that you made there, and I think it's just, you've got such a wide variation in our industry of how we can work, you know, and there's no right or wrong. It's what suits people.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, some people may want to work in a studio in their back garden. Some people may want to be self-employed, want to be part of a global team. But I think it's like anything, Dexter, that I think because there's so much broadness that people are undercutting in our industry. And I worry that that's the problem. And certainly with home and people working from home, that they feel that there's this, that you've got to be cheap because that's what you're doing. And it's all those things that sort of lead the problem to our industry of maybe not the charging what we should be charging, because we charge the value, then that means we all earn more money and better, you know, that can be for us all. And that's a big part, isn't it? That we have to improve that side of our industry across the board.
Yeah, as a collective. Otherwise, how do I say it? We just go down a wonky garden path, won't we?
Yeah. How did you find the wages at the start, Dexter? When you started out, again, because hairdressing can be, you know, not the highest paid. Did you struggle with that at the start?
Do you know what? I think because I when I came into the industry, I was a little bit older. I think I was about 18, 19. And I had a couple of options, like with the sort of dynamics, whether it be sports or going to university and doing sociology. I love my socialist theories and everything else. But like I said, it was my friend's ex-missus that said, you know, do this. So for me, very naive going into the industry, I like I said, I didn't know there was so much discipline with hairdressing. The wages I was given, I thought, oh, sweet, this is amazing. I thought, like, it was equivalent of what I would get if I had, like, a part-time job or something. So I was none the wiser. And for me, because I wasn't doing the standard 3-year apprenticeship, I think it took me just over a year to qualify. So I wasn't on those traditional apprentice wages.
Why was that a year? Sorry, I'm butting in there, Dexter, but no. You say it was you just done the 1 year. Was that because of an age point of view?
Yeah. Because of the government funding. Because of the government funding, I wasn't eligible for like let's say, you know, a 2 or 3 year scholarship. But God bless Marcus Chandler. He was an absolute joy. Like, he was a franchisee at Blue Water for Tony Guy's time, and he said, you know what, maybe it's that likability that people talk about. I don't see it personally, but maybe it's there. He said, you know what, I'm going to give you this chance opportunity. It seems like you really want to be a part of the hairdressing industry. The money can stretch to a year. If you can do it, do it. If you can't, you know, you've given it a good attempt. So I was like, I remember I was talking to my old dear and I said, you know, Mum, I'm going to do this, you know, going to do it in a year. Tried to work with things in my favour. My friends were older, so they could take a little lunch break here off work, so they could come into the salon for me to practice on. But that's why I had to do it in that short space of time. And I was staying after hours, after work. I was doing it, you know, the cleaning.
So how many times were you doing your training there? So give us a look at that training that Dexter was going through at Blue Water, because I know we have a young audience that listen to this, and, you know, they probably think, well, I want to compare my training to Dexter, you know, this cool guy, you know, give us a view to it.
I think the average training that most hairdressers get in all different companies is the standardised. I think the government say is a week. Not a week. 1 day a week. And from what I'm gathering, when I talk to other people in different industries, not different industries, different companies, and that's not to knock them. Sometimes it's not even a full day, and they could be training, but they could still be pulled off their training to do a shampoo and so on and so forth. I think the beauty, and I don't want to say lucky, but I was really blessed at Tony and Guy, where we have the flagship London Tony and Guy Academy, where we have our assistants from all up and down the country, and they come there to get their day's training by the artistic directors and educators of the company. At the time, because I was franchised, I didn't actually go to the academy, but I was blessed in a sense. I still had my day's training in the academy, in the salon, so my standard training. But what I was offered, which was wonderful, I had a wonderful team that I worked with, and different stylists of different levels, stylists, senior stylists, style directors, so they've been in the industry. They offered up their service. They said, Bex, if you get a model in after work, I'll take you through this haircut. If you get a model in after work, I'll take you through this blow dry. Because, you know, in the salons, you have different people that have their niches that either like it or they do it well. So I just asked, and I come from that mentality. If you don't ask, you don't get. And if you ask, the worst someone's going to say is they're going to say no, or I don't have time, or let's reschedule it for this. So, lunch breaks, I was just standing around and shadowing, because I think the beauty, I'm not here to wax lyrical about Tony and Guy, but the beauty of it is you've got so many diverse people within the various salons who work with different hair textures and different hair types. When you're an assistant, whether you're a HP or a hair professional in Tony and Guy, you genuinely are there to assist them with their hair cutting abilities. So I was picking up on shaving. Even if it was just holding the shaving foam for them to lather up the beard trims, being allowed to be that up close and personal was amazing. They'd say, okay, Bex, I'm going to do a blow dry here. What products do you reckon will be good for this hair type, whether it's fine, if it's coarse, if it was type 1, type 2, little things like that. Where I know in other places, your apprenticeship is just to clean the toilets, make teas and coffees and sweep, which for me, that's not what your apprenticeship is about. Your apprenticeship is to be the best version of yourself, and that's what we promote here at Tony and Guy, and that's what I promote as a person. So that's what my training was. I was getting an extra 2 evenings a week. If the guys were in a Sunday, they're doing their clients, because Sunday's obviously a lot more casual and a lot more relaxed. They said, Bex, you can come in, practice your blow dries, practice your this. Where we've got time, we'll oversee and we'll see what's what. So I think I was really lucky and really blessed, but I don't want it to sound like it was an anomaly for me, because it wasn't. I think more often than not in most salons, most people are doing that because they want them, again, to be the best version of themselves.
No, I love that. I think that you're absolutely right. I spoke to somebody not long back and they talked about, look, if you're going to have somebody as an apprentice and all they're doing all day long is sweeping, cleaning, washing hair, it isn't going to grab you. You've got to get people in there. And I think there's something to be said actually for this training for a year, VADAing for a year, get it, that if you can do as much as you can, but that's got to come from the person that's being trained, i.e. you in this case that we're talking about, Dexter, that you had to throw yourself into this. It wasn't saying, and I guess you thought, right, here I am, I'm now in hairdressing and working for a pretty cool brand. I've always loved Tony and Guy. I make no lie of that, through the 90s, and that was my go-to, the whole, I think as a brand as well, as a lad, I always found Tony and Guy to be quite suited to me. I loved cutting, I loved texturing hair, I loved the softness that Tony and Guy was all about. And even as I look ahead of me, I've got Tony and Guy DVDs still sat there on my shelf. But I was growing up, but I guess that culture, but I think where I'm getting your real persona that comes through to me is somebody that's like, be the best version that I can. Does that run right the way through your life, really, Dexter? Is that something that you've always been? Because I'm interested to find out that personality that I see smiling in front of me. Good time guy.
Do you know what? Yeah. Do you know what? My mother, I love her to bits. She always said to me from an early age, you know what? Be the best you can be. If you're a binman, you be the best binman. You pick up the rubbish with a smile. You say hello to everyone. I'm that kind of geezer. I probably look like an absolute wally now walking down the street, but especially with a mask, it doesn't really translate. But, if I see someone, I'm the kind of geezer that will just flash a smile at them. And I think it's a knock-on effect. They're going to smile at someone else, and I think it just makes the world go round.
I couldn't agree more. I love smiling. I think smiling is one of the best things that you could do, which is so easy to do, even if you feel miserable.
It's the easiest things. I think for me, early doors, I think that was something, I wanted to do. I think, and I always say this to all of my students, not everyone's the same, but everyone has levels. Someone's capacity may be, up here, and someone's capacity may be down here. But if that someone's capacity, their full capacity is down here, and if they're working to their 100%, I'm going to take them, because if someone's capacity is up here and they're only working to about 20%, that other person is giving their all. They're wanting to. I'm more inclined to want to help that person. But if that person is only working to a small fragment of their potential, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to say, obviously, you can do more, and I'm going to want and will them to do more. But it has to come from within. So that's the way I see it. Everyone has the capacities. And if I've got someone doing that 100% and then I can take them above and beyond, I'm going to do that. But if someone's not helping themselves, there's a famous phrase, my nan said it, and I always say it. I said it to Jackie, my boss, the other day. We had a laugh. I said, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. And that's what I buy by. Yeah, it has to come from within.
That's quality. It is absolutely within. If you can't train arrogance, if somebody's got all the talent in the world and they know but if they're not prepared to further themselves, then you've got nothing there that you can teach. And like you say, I think it's finding the people that have got the hunger and the want. And, this is why we do these podcasts, because that for me is what this is about. It's people that are actually sat here now listening, tells me that they want to go on and better themselves. Consume podcasts, read books, just keep yourself really pumped up. And the industry is, I think, phenomenal if you want it to be phenomenal. But it can be dire if you're not prepared to move on.
It's true. It's very true.
I think. So you technically, you're a lad. There's no getting away from that. You're a geezer kind of Southeast London boy. Hairdressing, sometimes, some people have to work harder at it. Did you have to work harder at it technically?
Oh my God, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Like my best mate, Charlie Peters, one of my best mates, he's part of the clique. He was a Saturday boy, so he'd been in the industry from the age of 15. Now, I remember when I came in, he's his first year apprentice, but he'd been doing it for about 2-3 years at this point. When I say this guy had all the God-given talent, like one of these people that's just good at everything. He was the one that taught me how to hold a pair of scissors. We were in little class doing a one length. My arm was up in it, all over the gap. It just wasn't happening. And I always say, if he stayed hairdressing, oh my God, for me, I know it's a bold statement. This geezer would be a Hall of Fame at BHA. He understood it. He understood the assignment. He understood the nuance of what people wanted. He knew how to speak to people, everything like that. In the end, he left. He became world champion Muay Thai fighter. Again, he's amazing at everything. But me, I really had to work. I really had to graft. I'm naturally quite a shy person. So even the element of conversating with people during, oh my God, I was awkward. Kind of person, I'll try and bring you over a tea. I'm shaking. It's spilling all over the place. It was just the braiding elements of it. I know the girls in my class were naturally a lot better because they braided their own hair and stuff like that. I was learning from scratch with everything. So I was playing catch up a lot. But I think what I tried to do was, one, immerse myself in the culture and surround myself with people that knew what they were doing so I could kind of, soak up everything by a sponge. And I think I know I hold my hands up. I had to graft hard. There were times where I really ballsed up a lot of stuff. But I think if you don't make mistakes, you're not learning. You learn from your mistakes. Yeah.
When you say you sort of ballsed up lots of stuff and you make the mistakes, and I appreciate everything you're sharing here, Dexter, as well. What do you mean, do you ballsed up? Are you talking about in the hairdressing, or are there parts of your life that you think, you know what, I didn't sort of put myself right there at that moment? I could have...
100% in work and outside of work. In work, I think, like I said, initially it was that hairdressing is just scissors, just opening and closing and stuff like that. I didn't understand the element of geometry, the mathematics, the structural building, creating shapes and stuff like that. I took everything for granted. So I think the early stages, the first month and a half, I was like, this is piss easy. And I was like, okay, this is not. Listening to people around you, like I said, those acquaintances going, oh yeah, you can clean up with girls and stuff, thinking, I'm in here for a fun time and not a long time. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, I like that where you said you're in this for a fun time, not a long... Was that your attitude early on then? This could be great. Going to get loads of women.
Yeah.
Bit of glamour, some nice nights out, party. Great.
Massively. The age barrier as well, because you go in at 18, 19, you think you're already light years ahead from that Saturday girl or guy that's 15 or 16. And they were disciplined. They were level-headed. I was still, obviously, now I'm on the mindset of, work hard, play hard. But I'd go in out with the lads on a Friday and Saturday night, if I have to be in on a Saturday or Sunday, you know, I turn up to work where I was 40 minutes late. I'm the only assistant in. They need me. You know, stuff like that. I think.
Can I ask you something then? Did you go into your shop sometimes after a Friday or Saturday night? You were absolutely battered sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
It's I know we're all there, and I think there's going to be a few wry smiles for the people that are listening to this now. You know, oh my goodness, gosh, I think there were times where there used to be this club venue in New Cross. I love my pop music. I've been out there. I think I'd left the club at like 4 or 5 in the morning, sat in the kebabs, had to get the night bus home. So that's all culminated into me getting in at 7:30, quick shower, you know, hop straight on the bus, straight into to work. So I've only been level-headed, if I could say that, for about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. I'm trying to shampoo this woman's hair. I'm dripping soap suds on her face, water. But
I've been there. I know it.
We all have.
Massively, you know, look, I mean, but this is the thing that I think we have to understand about our industry a little bit. And I know, look, you know, the more seasoned pro we come and our seniority, and we understand the importance, turn up on time, show up on time, be ready. We know all that. But the reality is, when you're a young teenager, late teenager, 18, 19, the realities are we're going out and we want to party. And I don't know about you, but I'm damn glad that I partied. And because without those things, you know, we can sometimes think, well, actually, I should have maybe focused harder. But sometimes you have to focus that harder a little bit later, don't you? But what I love, actually, what you said is it would have been easy to just keep phoning in and say, look, you know, I'm just hanging. I can't get in here today.
Yeah. I realised, and it was my peers. Like the girls that are in the salons now, the girls that are in salon managers that I was training with, even people that I trained with that didn't stay with a hairdresser, and I see them doing other stuff. They're like, you know what, you know, stick at it. Like we'd rather an element where you come in, you try and plug through the day. If we don't need you, we'll send you home. But you know, just that sort of stuff.
What are you like now with the trainees that are around you? You know, and that they came in. So let's just say you're there Saturday morning. Yeah. I'm sure you still like to party now anyway. I mean, I know we you know, you're still a young guy yourself, in truth. Yeah. You know, but what's your attitude? Do you remember the Dexter that was 18, 19 coming in? So therefore you can sympathise with maybe that staff member who's coming in.
Yeah, a little bit. Dexter then was different. He was way west. He was different. The Dexter now is a little bit more, I'd like to say, tranquil. Still likes to party, have a little boogie on the dance floor. Doesn't drink, you know. Some would say boring, but I still think I've got a little bit in me. So when I'm talking to my students and they're asking a little bit about stuff, I always say, you know, you could tell I'm big on my philosophy, I'm big on my quotes, I'm big on my this, you know. When you're in work, it's whether you're on stage or you're delivering education or on a shop floor, think of this as your stage. You just have to dial it up a bit. It's a case of being you, but, you know, you take it up a notch or two. Whether that is you don't necessarily communicate with people, you ask them how they are, you ask them how you do, you always dial it up just that little bit more. You know, this is your show, this is your platform. As soon as you walk in that shop door, as soon as you walk in the teaching room or whatever it is, all your problems dissipate. You know, whether you've had an argument with your fella or your missus on the way into work, you forget about it. You just leave it at the door. Again, you've been a
right, and those
right,
these things, and I love quotes of philosophy, and I know you love sociology too, and I do too. My lad's actually doing sociology because I think as hairdressers we're quite curious about people's behaviour, why we do things, why we act in these things, and philosophy is. And I hear a lot of these quotes, and you say that there, but that's not always easy to be able to do that.
It's not, is it? It's not. But I think,
you know, and I know people sometimes say, "Come on, you got to show up and perform." How do we get that out of us? You know, we're just not feeling. We really are having a crap day. You know, things have just not happen, something really bad. What advice do you give to people when you're feeling there? Can you bring yourself out of those moods? Because you must get them.
Yeah, 100%. But for me, communication is always key. I think we've lived in an age for a very long time where I think, especially for a man, it's not kosher to speak about your feelings. Obviously, that nuance is changing ever so much now. But for me, when I say to the students, okay, pull me out of the classroom, come and have a chat with me. If I can G you up, or a problem shared is a problem half, that sort of thing. If we can do that prior, then you can go in and you can be level-headed and you can dial it up. I think it's a lot. Some people can. I don't think it's healthy. They can internalize something and they can go in and, be the best version of themselves, show up and show out and all of that stuff. I think for the people that can't, communication's key. Doesn't always have to be.
And communication's key. Yeah. Communication's key, and it's talking about it. So sorry, I'm jumping in. I really apologise, but I love the conversation, and this is like me sat down, how I am, and it's great conversation because and you talk about communication. Right, and when you're leading teams, whether that's in education, managing a salon, whatever that, but if you're leading communication, and communication's really important. And you said, look, as a guy, we're not been great to talk about our feelings because it's always, got to be blokey. But we've lived in a world where mental health has become a massive part of. We talk about it so brilliantly now. Sometimes I worry it becomes a buzzword for some people. I don't mean that in a because I think people can. But there are things there. Are there moments in your life that you've had to battle with that maybe gives you that sociology, the understanding?
Yes, massively. Like key moments off my head. Back in 2017. It's weird. I'm a big believer of fate. It was July 23rd, 2017, and it was actually, I was hired by Tony and Guy July 2007, July 23rd, 2007, should I say. So exactly 10 years to the day, driving to the gym to meet some of the boys on a motorbike, came off, crashed, off work for a few months, broke my arm, smashed it to different bits, had to have numerous operations to repair it. Here's me thinking I can't do, hairdressing again. Certain people that were your friends didn't reach out to you and you realise they're not friends. Loads of stuff like that. My head was in the gutter. Very small network, very small circle, things like that. And you obviously have people trying to G you up. It's very difficult when you're low and you're really low and you get in your head and you're thinking all of these feelings and you're thinking all of your thoughts. It isn't as easy to snap out of it. And I don't think it's easy for people to say, snap out of it. Come on, turn that frown upside down. I'd rather say to someone, okay, I know it's going to be difficult. If you can get through this stage, let's have a talk about it after, or you can have tomorrow off. But, you're here now. Let's try and do what we can do. If there's elements where you don't feel you're coping, I'm here to hold your hand, or X, Y, and Z here to hold your hand, or we can do this together. You're not alone. I always think that's better than just, saying to someone, which is a very done thing back in the day, just crack on with it, you'll be all right. But me, myself, I've been in moments like that, where
have they been really dark thoughts actually here, Dexter? Has it ever been times where you've been suicidal thoughts? I mean, is that an over?
100% where you just think, where, what's the point, where is this going? Like, what's the journey? What's the end goal? There was a stage in my career where, I definitely dropped off, especially after qualifying in such a small space of time, and then having this whole industry at my disposal. The laddie attitude of going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Your body, for one, can't cope with it. Mentally, you can't cope with it. Breakups with girlfriends. I had a really big breakup at one stage. I was just lost. I was completely kerfuffled. But,
what helped you then? What helped you in that moment? So when you're that dark and you're like, because mental health comes from stress. I believe ultimately stress is, and communication, because that whole point what you were saying, communicating with your team and stuff. And that's what led us down to this little thing.
Yeah.
Was there something then that you just woke up one day and you just thought, I need help here, or I'm going to help myself?
Yeah.
And just,
you know what? For me, there was two things. The first one was the click, my boys. I think some of the listeners are very aware of who and where they are. It's an amalgamation of some barbers and hairdressers that the last to join, or childhood friends from the age of 6 or so. Like my boys, my brothers, they helped me through it. I come from a group of friends where it's not, even though we're lads, but nothing's off the table. Everyone can talk and everyone understands, and it's a level playing field. And the second thing was truly understanding myself. So I get sick off the boys still about this, but I went to I love walking, so I did walking trails in Edinburgh. I just went away, rented a little B&B. I really wanted to understand my story, what I like. I knew the generic stuff, my musical taste, my clothing style and things, but what do I really like? Like, what sort of triggers me? What are the things that I enjoy doing, bar and outside of the socializing with my friends, trying new stuff, and just really getting.
And what was it that what did you discover then? What was it that you actually discovered about you that you didn't know was there?
Do you know what? Which I really just enjoy being on my own sometimes.
That's the point where we drop out of the conversation with Dexter, but we are now going to head into the green room for this week's premium How to Cut It Extra Show podcast. And Dexter is going to carry on the conversation about being the best version that you can be. So if you would like to access this podcast or any of our podcasts that we have in the library of our extra shows, then you need to become a Patreon member. And you could do that by heading over to patreon.com/howtocutit, and then just choose the tier that will give you access to these extra show podcasts, plus all the other benefits that go with that. Now, if you want to check out the show notes that we've prepared for you online to accompany this episode today, then go to howtocutitp20156, that's IT, not .com, /EP218. And don't forget, we have our very own How to Cut It presents the hair show Unleashed, hosted by Crazy Colour, coming to the Lafayette, King's Cross, London this Sunday, the 17th of October, hosted by myself, Sophia Hilton, Georgia Bell, Justin Macklin, plus many special guests, including Dexter. And if you want tickets for this, and all you need to do is go to LafayetteLondon.com. And there you'll see the hair show Unleashed on the page. Select that option. You'll see the ticket options that are available. There is the team ticket offer. And all you need for this offer is the code TEAM21. And remember, this is going to be a party like you have never been to for hairdressers before. Completely unique. You're going to have big surprises, team competitions, hair challenges, and just being part of the show. And then we're going to light up the room as we go into the Glitter Ball after party, an hour and a half of dancing to some of our favourite anthems that are out there. And we have big surprises too, and a whopping prize worth thousands of pounds that one person who attends on the night will be walking away with it all. So can you afford to miss this event? No, you can't. So LafayetteLondon.com to get your tickets. And finally, a reminder, if you want to watch this year's streamed elements of the Weller UK and Ireland Trend Vision finals, then you can register for this by going to tvadigital.co.uk. And I hope to see as many of you there as I possibly can. Now, I hope you enjoy these podcasts. And if you have, then please do subscribe or follow the show to get an automatic notification of when we bring you these episodes every Monday. My name's Dom Lehane. This is a podcast produced by Hairy Media Productions. And until next Monday, peace, love, and smiles all the way. Goodbye.
How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry Podcast. Taking your hairdressing and barbering careers to the next level.